Come on, nigga, pick up. Yeah, you're right now. And I was running downtown in the pickup, going get my own boy pickup. Then I hit the weed man pickup, blowing up his phone on pickup. Looking for a shorty I can pick up. Out with the drinks on him up, and you know I got the whole lot lit up. Put your hands up, baby, this is sick up. Running downtown in the pickup, going get my own boy pickup. Then I hit the weed man pickup, blowing up his phone on pickup. Looking for a shorty I can pick up. Out with the jeans on him up, and you know I got the whole lot lit up. Put your hands up, baby, this is sick up. I was on the project school, you was late for cribbing. Had a gun rolled up when it's probably pulled up, yeah, and you know what they tripping. So I dip out the back and started my engine. Cut in my entrance, shoes all custom, 35 inches, and it still made it don't go sideways, 35 pinches. Turn left by the pole with the pack still flat, just the way I rocked it. And I crept in the low with the only blonde in my left front pocket, yeah. Soon as I see no cops in there, I'm a pulling no rocking chair. Turn up the Doja Island, that's when I pull out the Doja and Sparky. Riding downtown in the pickup, go and get my own boy pickup. Then I hit the weed man pickup, blowing up his phone and pickup. Looking for a shorty I can pick up. Out with the jeans on him up, and you know I got the whole lot lit up. Put your hands up, baby, this is sick up. Riding downtown in the pickup, go and get my homeboy pick up. Then I hit the weed man pick up, blowing up his phone on pick up. Looking for a shorty I can pick up. Out with the jeans on him up, and you know I got the whole lot lit up. Put your hands up, baby, this is sick up.
Slide in the back of the pickup. Take it easy on the speed bumps. No, we smoke it down to the tree stumps. No, we go back like free lunch. If you're shooting the breeze, then hold it keep up. Throw a couple snaps on the nigga. We run through a sack like a nickelback hits it. Keep coming back like a hiccup. Things still the same over here. Me and the bros getting litty. We used to roll through the city. We made our own little committee. We only roll if it's 50. Put the poses for fishing. Phone on 20. Leave me alone, I'm busy. Get the homies in the L450 like.
Riding downtown in the pickup, go and get my own boy pickup. Then I hit the weed man pickup, blowing up his phone on pickup. Looking for a shorty I can pick up. Out with the jeans on him up, and you know I got the whole lot lit up. Put your hands up, baby, this is sick up. Riding downtown in the pickup, go and get my own boy pickup. Then I hit the weed man pickup, blowing up his phone on pickup. Looking for a shorty I can pick up. Out with the jeans on him up, and you know I got the whole lot lit up. Put your hands up, baby, this is sick up.
This is a song about being a kid. 'Cause being a grown-up sucks. Yeah. Hey. Yep. My folks, fresh off the plane, they both weathered the pain with postcards and they prayed for some co-stars. Had a baby like Mozart, guitar virtuoso, like Tom Morello with Zach De La Rocha. While I did homework pronto on the sofa reading Road Dog. Booted up the console, one controller for my Road Dog. Ride with Koji Kondo, then with Toadstool in my go-kart. Bro, I throwing combos, going postal, yelling, all drug. Hoping Papa don't preach like he usually do. Make a big speech, he a choosy dude. Yeah. And mama cook, eats like a goosey soup. Right before sleep, I love Lucy too. Now we singing Nick at Night. The place for TV hits. Now I'm tripping like I'm Dick Van Dyke. Damn, I miss when we were kids. Steady tripping like, let's go away for a while. I'm a child. It's a strange and distant land where we only speak the truth. Everyone understands how we play back in the day. Yeah, instead of bitches and hoes, we talk glitches and hoes and plot twists in the pros of the Mach 6. with steady giggles and lows. We went through each of the shows on Fox. Kids wanna slow the clock's ticks, passing time, talking Skywalker, Cyclops or Cyberman, Arkham Asylum, and vibe where the sidewalking. Style to MacGyver, to Pride Rock, to Frylocking. Fights with Nuke Cybot or Psylocke and Psyduck. I spent a summer overdosing on Pokemon, chilling with my brother on the sofa while home alone. Anytime it thunder, then we wanna run close to mom. I remember posting with my bros in Hiroshima. Yeah, whether Christmas or it's Halloween, fuck a distance, they will always be a part of me. If life a RPG, I want them in my party. We a army, thick as Zeph Filbert in the modern wallaby. We gotta be. Let's go away for a while. I'm a child. It's a strange and distant land where we only speak the truth. Everyone understands how we play back in the day. Let's go away for a while. I'm a child. It's a strange and distant land where we only speak the truth. Everyone understands how we play back in the day.
TheEnd.fm. I'm DJ Zouain. This is the Hijack. Welcome. Welcome to the Hijack that we do once a month, because we do two shows. Two shows we do. We do the world famous Irreverent once a month. We do that every other show, because one show we do, it's every other week. Every other week you get a show on TheEnd.fm. That's the way it goes. The show is already began, so the bottom third can, or the bottom rocker can stop saying that the show will start soon, because it's already started. So thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for listening, whether you're doing it live or you are doing it on TheEnd.fm or on your favorite platform. The show is brought to you by TheEnd.fm. TheEnd.fm for all of your podcast and mixing needs. We have mixes there. We have Irreverent. We have the Hijack. We have some blogs coming up. James, if you listen to Irreverent, we have James that does the show with us quite a bit every month now. Actually, he's our basically our co-host. He's the co-host of the Irreverent podcast, so he's going to be doing some blogs about stuff regarding Jesus and regarding evangelical Christianity and all of that jazz. So be on the lookout, Bolo for that. Let's see here. We have some things that we need to talk about. If you're listening live, you're probably seeing a delay, which, sorry about your luck, buddy. But listen to the recorded version. It won't have the delay, the video audio delay. We've been dealing with that for a bit. The show, I am DJ Zouain, the audible chocolate of podcasting. You can find me on TheEnd.fm. You can find me at DJ ZOUAIN. You can also find me on Saturdays. I hang out at West End Trading Company. I am there every single Saturday starting at 10 p.m. There's going to be a lot of other stuff coming up, including but not limited to the Hurricane Party. The Hurricane Party is happening in Sanford. I will be on stage alongside Travis Seeds, and we will be hosting and DJing and having fun with all of you. We're expecting over 3,000 people. So you do not want to miss it. It's going to be a great time. Let's see here. A few things to talk about. Number one, we're going to talk about let's start this off with weed. You know why? Because it's weed, and I want to talk about weed. Apparently, there has been an influx of cannabis production. And cannabis consumption even. So I don't know if you know about this, but to this right now, as we speak, Starbucks has been outsold by the cannabis industry. So the cannabis industry, the weed industry, has been outselling Starbucks. I want you to think about that for a moment. These are cannabis sales for 2022. They're going to reach over $35 billion, which is a jump of, let's see here, approximately 22% over the most recent 5-year rolling market forecast update. Last year, cannabis sales increased by 30% compared to Starbucks's. This is just Starbucks North America. It grew by 25%, so a 5% difference. Now, 3 things about this. Number one, this is true, even though it is, cannabis is only legal in about half the states, and we have coffee being legal everywhere, all 50 states. Now, here's the other thing. I got news for you. Weed outsells coffee, period. Not just Starbucks. Weed outsells coffee. It's just not all in the white market. So them's just the breaks. Okay, it outsells coffee, not just Starbucks. The only reason that Starbucks is in the conversation here is because they're, a household name, and the discrepancy between the two numbers is 5%. By comparison, very small. So that's the reason why it's being brought up. But the third reason, shout out to Ricky from Promo Only, and Ricky the Realtor, and Ricky the Hustler. But the number 3, can we talk a little bit about how big this company is, Starbucks, that we're comparing it to an entire market? When you think about that, you're talking about one company, an entity, one corporate structure, one corporation being compared to an entire freaking market. Look, I am not the guy that says we shouldn't have billionaires. I'm really not. I am definitely not. I just don't think that having, if you're a billionaire and you have people that are in your company that are whose living is subsidized by the government, if my tax dollars are paying for your employees' food stamps, you're the one fucking up. It's not them. It's not their problem. It's your problem. So my only thing is that if you are, and I'm not saying we shouldn't tax them. I'm not saying, I am not a friend of the billionaire. I'm not a friend of really anybody that doesn't do doesn't do well for other people, do good for other people. If you're an evil bastard that looks for the way to get money by screwing others over, I'm not a fan of yours. And the thing is that billionaires as a whole, I'm sure I'm sure there's an ethical billionaire somewhere. So hashtag not all billionaires, I guess. But at the end of the day, this should not happen. If your mega corporation is not paying people, at least in this case today, an average of $23 an hour, which is about what that would what the federal I think that's what the federal minimum wage would be if it kept up with inflation. If your company is not paying somebody at least $23 an hour, every person, every millionaire's salary in your organization should be divided up until that is a reality. And then if everybody's making $23 an hour and you have 3 millionaires instead of 5, then so be it. That's the way I would see it. But I'm a simpleton. I am a mere simpleton. So I don't understand the numbers and all of that in Wall Street. I love talking to people from Wall Street, trying to tell me that it's more than just gambling. By the way, that's where most of the billionaires are. Let's see. Ricky on Facebook says that they should merge. I'm assuming you're talking about the cannabis industry and Starbucks. No, we don't need to give Starbucks any more power, Ricky. What's wrong with you? Daniel says, hi. Hello, Daniel. After we do all of that, after we divvy up all the money and the least of your employees, the least compensated of your employees is $23 an hour or above, then we can talk about who our favorite space billionaire is. After that, then we can talk about that, but not right now. And, here the other thing is, speaking of wealthy people not paying their fair share, we turn to one of my favorite sports. Literally, the sport. This is one of the biggest parts of my life growing up. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the details of the story because there are plenty of channels that lay out the case. If you look at rollerblading, the Facebook group, you'll see that there's a lot of stories about that. But basically, here's the deal: Jeph Howard has been skating for Razors for like a decade. Razors is a one of the major players in the sport of rollerblading as far as companies are concerned, and he's been skating for them for like a decade. And after being an absolute monster on handrails, just a great skater, and by all accounts, apparently a great guy too, he finally gets his roses in the form of his own pro skate. Now, that sounds great, and that's awesome, and I'm super stoked for him to have a skate. Now, it's great, kind of, because when he was filming for the pro skate edit, he got hurt bad. He was skating a drop ledge, which, basically he was skating a handrail, and or it was a drop ledge, and then he fell, landed on the last step, and fractured 2 of his vertebrae, broke a rib, and punctured a lung. It's crazy. It's crazy to just look at the video. Is scary, dude. The video is scary. It finally came out, and I was blown away. I was blown away at how hard that dude hit the ground. And it's really crazy living in the States and watching skaters from other countries that have socialized medicine being blown away by the cost of medical expenses for anyone, and not just athletes, just anybody, but especially athletes. And I'm not comparing Andy and Jeph from Razors to Jeff Bezos or the CEO of Starbucks or anything like that. But judging by Jeff's case and all the others, I mean, there are countless skaters that have busted their ass and haven't been compensated. And not even busted their ass. Skaters that have been skating for these companies that have been making money on these people's image and likeness. And it doesn't change. So you may ask, what did Razors do for this? Well, the answer is not much. They shared a GoFundMe that was started by someone else for Jeph. I don't know if Jeph himself started it, but after the backlash, there was some raffling of one pair of the Jeph Howards that just came out. And you entered by donating $10 directly to the GoFundMe. So that was their way of like, okay, well, we're going to try to do this. It really irritates me to see this. But on top of that, obviously the skating community reacted not well to this. And, they had a bigger backlash, and now they have a bigger conversation about athletes being paid fairly. And unfair pay in rollerblading, like I said, not uncommon. There's a lot of money to be made. Well, not in rollerblading. There is some money to be made in rollerblading, but these guys were getting like $3 a royalty, like a $3 a skate for their royalties. It's insane. It's insane to me that these people were getting $3 a skate. Now, John Julio's company, Them Skates, started paying more like, I think, $10. And I've heard numbers up to $30 now, which is great. That should be the norm, at least. And I mean, this is just me, like I said, spitballing. I don't know what the numbers are, but it sounds to me that $30 a skate is not too much to ask for these people, But does it does it need to come down to this? Somebody basically almost being paralyzed? That's what it needs to come to for corporations to step up. Corporations that are making money off these people. It's the corporate responsibility conversation all over again. This time it's just with a fun sport. You know, John Julio, shout out to them, to them skates, and anybody else who's stepping up. I just saw that Razors Australia. I don't know how they are, how they're affiliated or anything, but Razors Australia just donated, I believe, $750 to Jeph Howard's deal. At the end of the day, it's too little, too late. And what's the answer? What's the right answer? I don't know the right answer. I don't know what the answer is. But this guy right here got screwed by the sport that he loves. And I understand that they are not the only people. I understand that they are not the only culpable people in this culture of underpaying. Not even in just skating, but in everywhere in this country. You know, the community, thankfully, as you saw on the GoFundMe that I just flashed, you know, the community stepped up and they raised like $10K in 24 hours. Right now it's at like $24,000. But even the donations had their own scandal where the owners of companies were giving upwards of $500 while some of the Razor brass was giving like $100 or something like that. And like I said, Razors Australia just gave $750. And then one of the skaters, Yandriel Cerverio, he was one of Razor's former riders, posted this long diatribe on social media about the incentive program that riders were promised. He sent them an invoice for the amount, which Razor said they couldn't afford to pay. After that, Yandriel, he had a meeting with the Razors brass to prove that A, the riders weren't getting paid what they were supposed to, and B, because Yandriel is such a smart dude, he put together a spreadsheet that essentially showed how much money Razors has made based on his and others, or at least on his likeness. So he showed them that, and they were all shoulders. They were just like, we can't afford it. He kept being interrupted by Andy, who's the other guy from it's Andy and Jeph are the two dudes that run Razors, and they basically told Yandriel that they couldn't afford to pay the amount because of some extra expenses that they had to spend. At the end of the day, this goes back to the point that I made before about wealthy people not being paid fairly. And I'm not saying that Andy and Jeph are billionaires or even millionaires. What I am saying is that they lead a not poor lifestyle. And right now you have people that are literally losing their livelihood while promoting their skate. Their skate with his name on it. So there should be some sort of a conversation started about this. And obviously, this would not be a conversation were this to be in Europe or in any other socialized country. So maybe it's a bigger conversation than that. It's just being represented in a very small group of people. And I know that Razors isn't a huge company, but they're bigger than Thems. Thems is an independent company. How many other companies are as big as Razors? You have K2. Rollerblade is massive, obviously. K2 is mainly a snowboarding brand that dabbles in rollerblading and has been for years. There has to be a way for these practices to be rectified. And look, I ride Razors. My first skates back when I came back for skating, Razors. They're the Hendersons. Hell, I'm wearing a Razors t-shirt in my new promos, but I'll be damned if I'll buy another Razors product until this is fixed. And this is knowing that they're the only company that makes skates as wide as I need them. I think Gods does too. But shout out to all the independent brands like them and others trying to fix some of this problem by giving proper royalties to their athletes. And I'll close the story with this. I'll close it with a plea to all the rollerblading companies to make wider boots and cooler t-shirts so I can patronize a company other than Razors until they get their shit together. That's what I'm asking for. That is my plea to you. Ricky says, they all have prime locations. Have you, dude? There are 6. He's talking about Starbucks merging with big cannabis, I guess. But have you seen? There is a dispensary in every corner here. I am 6 minutes away from 3 different dispensaries, right here, right now. So I don't think there's not a lack. There's not a lack of it. I promise you. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about, because this is Florida, and Florida is weird. And sometimes I run into weird things from Florida, and I like to talk about it. So if nothing else, this is to inform people who aren't from Florida about how weird Florida actually is. The good, the bad, and the weird. And I found this on the Weird History channel on YouTube, so go check them out. Gibsonton, Florida is where the sideshow performers go to retire. This is located about 100 miles from where I'm sitting right now. And it's full of old circus performers, exotic animals, and old carnival rides. This was a hub for logging and fishing in the past, and now it's a town entirely comprised of people who are basically gawked at for a living. We're talking about people who made their living as, like, Al the Giant, his wife Jeannie the half woman, the conjoined Hilton sisters, not the ones with the hotel, I guess. And then there was Lobster Boy, who apparently turned into a lobster man and an asshole and a murderer. So the town has a guy who is basically the circus historian and the king of the sideshow. I don't know if that's self-proclaimed or not, but Ward Hill. Ward Hill is the town spokesperson and resident storyteller. Now he's a retired circus performer. He's also a retired circus performer. And I guess when they retire from showbiz, they're awarded individual small homes there. So they just hang out and share stories. They get small homes that's awarded by the International Independent Showmen's Association, and thanks to the donations of those people. Not those people. That's not what I meant. You know what I mean. But its members basically fund this entire endeavor, and that's pretty cool. They definitely were more woke in that part of Florida than in the rest of Florida, because they had a post office to accommodate little people, because obviously, I mean, they know their clientele, they know their people. When Weird History, okay, so I was watching this, and yes, I might have been a little stoned, and when Weird History said that, I felt like they meant that they only served little people, meaning like it's just a tiny place to deliver your mail. But it turns out that they also had stuff for normal size. Is that even? I don't know what's PC anymore, man. You can't call them midgets. You can't call it. You got to call them little people. But anyway, not just that. But anyway, the point is that, like, it's a really cool weird town that I definitely want to try. That I want to try to check out. But yeah, no, that's what's in Zouain's backyard right now. It's very strange that we have that in our backyard. But speaking of backyard, another thing that's in my backyard is Disney, and it turns out a lot of people are gonna be affected by the feud between DeSantis and Disney, because it turns out that it could change the way that we experience Disney in that. So this is out of NPR and the Washington Post. Slightly smarter Ron DeSantis, let's take that again. Slightly smarter Trump, Ron DeSantis, is in a feud with Disney that seems that it started with the Don't Say Gay bill, or the, quote, Parental Rights Education bill. This is a bill that says that classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through third grade in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards, end quote. So that's what this is about. This is about a classroom, kids not being able to talk about, or I guess teachers not being able to talk to their kids, to their students about sexual orientation and stuff like that, even if they ask, I'm guessing. Because this is, at the face of it, it's like, yeah, of course. Why would you talk about sex with a kid? Well, what if they ask? I don't know. And so apparently this is a thing that supporters say it's meant to allow parents to determine when and in what way to introduce LGBTQ topics to children. Well, you missed, because they have internet and they have all of that. Also, it allows parents to sue if the policy is violated. So they could sue the school, they could sue the person personally, I'm assuming. And now the feud. For those of you who don't live in Florida, Disney has a special status where they are basically their own municipality. They have their own emergency services. They perform a bunch of the municipality I guess all of it, for the Reedy Creek Improvement District. And now, let me be clear. I don't like the fact that Disney has its own government. I think it's absolutely bananas that a corporation has their own area. Like, how crazy is that? But this dates back to like the 60s when they had I don't know how something like this gets done, but that was definitely something that happened in the 60s. Now, this causes a couple of problems here. My objection is that now DeSantis wants to decide to do this now, and he's doing it in direct retaliation to Disney's response to the Don't Say Gay bill. So that's the first problem. My first problem is that. But this causes a couple, because there are millions of dollars that are going to be needing to be paid by someone, whether it's Disney or the taxpayers of Orange and Osceola County. And that's inevitably what's going to happen. So more taxes for the locals and higher prices for the visitors, which means less visitors. Which, take the good with the bad, I suppose. Sorry, tourists. I know that you're the reason that we don't have a state tax, but Jesus Christ, learn to drive. So once again, lose money. People lose money and ultimately freedoms because of some dumbass Puritan law. That's it. It's a Puritan law designed to oppress LGBTQ children. Yes, LGBTQ children. They do figure that shit out before they're 18, I promise you. And if they're not going to talk to people that know about these things, they're going to talk to their friends. Like, nothing that these Republicans and these conservatives and these religious nuts, nothing that they do is in the interest of resolving the issue. Nothing that they do. Nothing. Instead of talking about safe sex, they talk about abstinence. And how well does that work? Well, let me tell you, I was a Baptist kid, and I got more ass than a toilet seat at Christian camp. So I got to tell you, you missed. It's crazy to me that you see the results. It's insanity. It's literally insanity. You do the same thing, expect a different result. So once again, people lose money, people lose their freedom, all because of Republicans wanting to stranglehold people's freedoms and people and who they bang and who they whatever. Once again, Republicans doing stuff by force. And not because the people want it. Not because the people want it. It's because a small number of mostly old white dudes want it. That's their entire game. That's the ball game. Another thing they're trying to do is overturn Roe v. Wade. They're trying to overturn Roe v. Wade, and you know what? You got to give these hate mongers some credit. You got to give it to them. They are dedicated. They have been at this for the longest time. They've had to hold their nose and pretend to like Trump. They have to pretend to do the acrobatics that you have to do to pretend that Trump was actually God's choice for America. They've had to hold their nose. They've had to pretend like they like the Supreme Court justices that this moron put on the bench, like Boof and Brett. All for a 50-year-old feud, a feud that is about, I believe, what was it? No, it was right before Reagan, I guess. A feud that was started by a political operative trying to join the largely apolitical evangelicals and the pro-life Catholics. That was the entire reason for the pro-life movement. The pro-life movement, dude, if you go back to the 60s, Christians were largely apolitical. So this isn't even something that is originally from, like, there's nothing. It's so irritating. But if people fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, you fell for it. I remember being confused coming here in 1991 because in the Dominican Republic, you could see the division between the evangelicals and the Catholics. And evangelicals did not consider Catholics Christian, and Catholics didn't consider evangelicals Christian. So I come to town, I come to Orlando, and I have friends that tell me that they're, Catholics and Christians, and they join forces, and there's a lot more, they're a lot more cozy. And years later, I read that it started in the 80s when they were trying to get Reagan in office. Old Dutch was the first one of these presidents that fancied himself in the brand of evangelical nut job we see today. The difference is that back in the 80s, they were a lot less outwardly crazy. But trust me, the crazy was still there. They were just less outwardly crazy. The outwardly crazy of evangelicals, right-wing evangelicals, has gotten stronger almost in the same way that, like, weed potency has, because, like, you have the weed potency. Back then, if you smoked a joint, it was strong, but you could have a good time, you could do some work, you could live your life. But you would also say some weird shit about a flood and 40 days and 40 nights and how a man of God once sicked a bear on a bunch of children for making fun of his bald spot. All that stuff, You invite them to gatherings like that. That's what you do. You smoke. You invite people to gatherings where men in cargo shorts play acoustic guitar and talk about God like they're his girlfriend. But you generally have a functioning adult in society. Now, you smoke the same joint today, and you're telling them history didn't happen the way that we were taught, and that there are people drinking children's blood, and that I need to prepare to save children from pizza shops. Except these people are all sober, or so they say. I have my doubts for a couple of reasons. Number one, well, see story number one. And speaking of story number one, I can't believe this. I cannot believe this. My last story today. Florida bride and caterer arrested for lacing weed. Wedding dinner with weed. I guess I put on the title that couple got arrested. I would assume that the couple got arrested. Why didn't the dude get arrested too? That's very weird. I don't know. Maybe she's a real ride or die and she took the fall. Her and the caterer. 42-year-old Dania Shea Savoda and her caterer, 31-year-old Jocelyn Bryant, were charged with tampering with food, delivering of marijuana, and culpable negligence for feeding the wedding guests laced wedding food. Longwood police, of course this was in Longwood. Longwood police responded and took a sample of the food that tested positive for cannabis. One guest told police that after he ate the 2 meatballs, Caesar salad, and tortellini with bread and olive oil, this motherfucker was high. He had the munchies. That dude had the munchies right there. He said he was feeling tingly and was having crazy thoughts. Yeah, you were. Another guest said that he felt like he had no control over, that she had no control over her mind and body. Another woman felt paranoid. I guess a lot of sativa is what was being eaten there. Another person felt tingly, fidgety, and had a dry mouth. See, as a stoner, I looked at the story and immediately said, man, what a nice couple. They surprised their... Oh. But look, I will say this. I will say this. I will say that you should never give anybody drugs without them knowing. That is a recipe for disaster, people. Don't do that. And I'm not saying don't medicate your wedding food. I'm just saying let people know. I am saying label it. So I don't know. It was really funny to see this pan out, because like my brain was automatically going, oh man, that's going to be a good party. And then I realized that no, it wasn't like a room full of stoners. Let's see here. Okay. Ricky says that both people confessed. So I guess both the caterer, yeah, I guess the caterer and the bride confessed, and I guess the dude kept his mouth shut because he didn't go. He's like, no, it's because, I mean, why would you take the bride? Like, there has to be some sort of circumstance other than the fact. I mean, yeah, but like, I'm not a cop, thank God. I never would be, but I feel like they would just take both of them. I don't know. I think that this is one of those things that's going to hurt the cannabis, people who smoke and people who are proponents of smoking, because that's just the way it is. Like, people love to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So I, as a proud stoner, I will tell you, don't lace your weed with don't lace your weed with food, guys. Jesus. Don't lace your food with weed, because honestly, if you do, what's going to end up happening, if you do that in a situation like that, you're going to get somebody that's going to get hospitalized. Like these people, and you know what? I have to say, unless they were seriously allergic to cannabis, they shouldn't have been hospitalized. It wasn't like the hospitalization was not. I don't think was necessary unless they were seriously allergic, which I know people that are. But all that to say, not a good idea. Please, people, be smart. Don't get all. It's more weed for you. If anything else, it's more weed for you. I never understood the when we were kids and they were talking about, oh, watch out for the Halloween food. They might put drugs in the food, in the candy. Really? I went trick-or-treating every year, and not a one time did I get a weed lollipop or an LSD sticker or anything like that. So another thing that you boomers lied to me about. How many other things did the boomers lie to me about? Anyway, my name is DJ Zouain. You can find me anywhere on social media at DJ Zouain. You can find me at TheEnd.fm. You can find me tomorrow night at West End. West End Trading Company is starting at 10. I'm going to be doing a lot more stuff with them, and we have a lot more videos and all kinds of stuff coming up with them. So be on the lookout, Bolo, and follow me at DJ Zouain on all social media. And I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks for some irreverent and talk about Jesus and shit. Bye.